In this video, we will go over our literary devices and a central idea essay for Shirley Jackson's The Possibility of Evil. Now, the roses, obviously, a symbol in this story. We can say they symbolize her pride in the town, her obsession with the town, how long her heritage goes in this town, and basically the roses are going to symbolize her connection to the town because in her mind, she loves her town. We have our motif. You could say observation and control. Now, throughout the story, we see her constantly judging her neighbors and community members. And definitely, we know this goes as far as her meddling and sending her letters. So, as her self-appointed role as the town's protector is definitely a recurring motif, something that comes up over and over throughout a story. Foreshadowing the simple choice of her name, Miss Strangeworth. We also could say the people, when she talked to Miss Crane, Helen Crane, that could give us some foreshadowing. The locked desk. And then irony and foreshadowing can sort of go hand in hand at times because this obsession with Dave and Linda, the two teenagers, it's very ironic when Dave's going to say, I'll take it over anyways. Maybe it's good news for them. Maybe they need something happy tonight too, like us. That is ironic because it's not going to be happy for Miss Strangeworth, and it's certainly not going to be very happy for the Cranes because Don Crane's going to get that letter saying his daughter is developmentally disabled. But we could say it did work out well for Dave and Linda because now they're going to be vindicated. Everyone in the town's going to know that all those letters were fake. So now Linda and Dave, it was ironic that delivering the letter gave them good news. Now, for our central idea, we have some brainstorms here. The story shows readers what can happen when a person takes part in malicious activities. The story shows when someone meddles in other people's personal relations, it causes more harm than good. So here would be an example of a central idea essay. In Shirley Jackson's The Possibility of Evil, the roses cultivated by Miss Adele Strangeworth serve as a powerful symbol of her outward persona and the hidden malice she harbors within. So this would be my introduction sentence. On the surface, the roses represent beauty, pride, and a sense of order in her small, idyllic town. Miss Strangeworth takes great care to preserve them, refusing to let tourists take even a single bloom, as she believes they are an integral part of the town's charm. Her town, which she fiercely claims as her own. This protective stance mirrors her self-appointed role as a guardian of the community's moral purity. Yet, the roses' thorny nature subtly foreshadows the harm she inflicts through her anonymous letters, suggesting that beneath their lovely exterior lies a capacity for pain. Jackson uses this duality to underscore the central theme, the destructive consequences of disguised malevolence. And now, duality would mean like the both double meaning. So that's just kind of another way you could word in talking about a symbol here. So now in this paragraph, I introduce the story. I actually probably would want to put one more sentence here. Introducing, you could also add, the story is narrated through third person with only the point of view of Miss Strangeworth. That would be important to note too, because no one else in the town really knows what's going on. You could add one more sentence summary if you wanted to. The introduction is where you want to lay out the main parts of your plot so that readers can then, whoever's reading your essay, can then get basically your evidence. You can really hone in on the evidence or, your meat and potatoes of what you're going to be claiming here. So we're trying to prove this, the destructive consequences of disguised malevolence. So she's disguising herself and she's doing it out of malevolence would mean evil or sinister in a way. So we have, as the story unfolds, the roses evolve into a deeper symbol of Miss Strangeworth's hypocrisy and the facade she maintains. She prides herself on her family's legacy and her pristine garden, which she sees as a reflection of her own virtue and superiority over her neighbors. However, her habit of sending poison pen letters filled with insidious rumors reveals the rot beneath her cultivated image. The roses, meticulously tended and admired, contrast sharply with the ugliness of her actions, emphasizing how appearances can mask sinister intentions. When one of her letters inadvertently leads to the destruction of her own rose bushes by an angered recipient, the symbolism comes full circle. The roses signify the collapse of her carefully constructed identity and the exposure of her true nature to the town she sought to control, reinforcing Jackson's message about the inevitable repercussions of sowing discord. So this is going to be restating our thesis in a way, saying if you create drama or rumors, hateful rumors, it's going to come back. Ultimately, the roses in the possibility of evil encapsulate the story's exploration of hidden evil and its consequences. Miss Strangeworth's obsession with maintaining the perfection of her roses parallels her delusional belief that she can purge the town of evil, of potential evil, through her letters. Yet, just as the roses cannot escape their thorns, she cannot escape the fallout of her malice. Their destruction at the story's climax serve as poetic justice, actually, at the story's resolution. I want to say that the climax is when she dropped the letters and could no longer keep this secret. It serves as poetic justice, a tangible manifestation of the chaos she unleashed, returning to her doorstep. Through this potent symbol, Jackson illustrates that attempts to manipulate and judge others under the guise of righteousness often lead to one's own downfall, leaving behind a legacy not of beauty, but of ruin. So if you notice here, I have several ways that I've worded our central idea statement. From sowing discord and the inevitable repercussions, that was from the body paragraph. And then here, a powerful symbol of hidden malice harbored within. And then here, destructive consequences of disguised malevolence. You could say disguised, misguided, because she's doing it from like a delusional way, right? So this would be an example of a central idea essay using symbolism as our literary device. So when you are writing a central idea essay, you want to make sure that you have a summary paragraph introducing the story and author, and your final sentence in your intro is going to be your thesis statement. And then your body paragraph, you would want to focus on what's that literary device you chose. So all these up here would be our literary devices. You could use parts of the plot if you wanted to for a literary element, but you would choose any one of these literary devices, or these would be our literary elements. You could choose one of those too. And then you just focus on that in your body paragraph, using evidence from the text specifically towards whichever literary element or device you chose. You could say setting too, focusing on the roses and her pride in them. That could be one as well, because the roses are part of the setting, or the small town. But you could have many central ideas, and you could choose any of these literary devices or elements to back up your central idea. And then finally, you would just have a summary paragraph where you summarize and restate your points from intro and body paragraph. And that would be a central idea essay for Shirley Jackson's The Possibility of Evil.